Hello and welcome back to the channel. Thank you for joining me on another of my wonderful interviews. Today, I had this interview lined up for some time because many people have asked that I get this gentleman on the show. A lot of people know about this subject or have heard about it and are saying, Richard, you've got to get him on. And so, of course, I am there, your servant, to do the best I can. We're talking about one small town, and if that rings a bell with you, you probably know the name Michael Tellinger. I have him on the line. Now, I admit that I'm completely ignorant to this, so I'm starting from first base and want to find out what exactly one small town means and what it would be for us in the future. Michael, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Richard. It's great to meet you and lovely to be talking to you and your audience.
And I absolutely no sham there that people have been asking and they're quite excited to have you on. And I've looked at your website and I've got your website which we can flash up a bit later on. But I do want to start from the beginning because I don't want to make any presumptions or anything. You're the founder of this idea, I think you said, for about 20 years, a couple of decades.
It's coming up. It's about 17, 18 years now. This idea started in 2005 when I had an epiphany. When I originally discovered the true origins of money, which we can go into, which literally led me down this path, and it just evolved, and here we are. Completely unbelievable. I do believe that this is some sort of higher divine guidance that we're experiencing here, myself and all those that have joined me on this journey. Very exciting times indeed.
Fantastic. Well, we've been talking quite a bit about money over the last few months, particularly because there's the threat of the CBDCs coming down the line, and of course now more urgently, I suppose, with the banks all sort of collapsing and of course the cost of living and things like that. So I think people are very much focused on money, and a lot of my guests have been talking about different ideas, tokens, and money that is mainly for the society that it's in, rather than going out of the local environment, which sounds a sensible idea. But where should we start with your concept of one small town?
Well, it really is. It will come back to this concept of money, or the idea and the subject of money, unquestionably, because it's what brought the idea to life. When
Right.
I realized 2005 or 2004, while I was researching my book called Slave Species of God, and I suddenly stumbled upon what blew my mind. Was the what I now call the true origins of money, which very few people are aware of, except those that read my books or they read the Ubuntu book, where I shared that in great detail, which made me realize that money is not something that has come thousands of years with humanity and that's part of our evolution or growth of society and culture and so forth. It's got absolutely nothing to do with that. I'm not going to bore you with the details because I've gone over this so many times in other interviews, but there's a very clear and defined moment in time that we read about in the Sumerian clay tablets, on not just one, on several Sumerian clay tablets that talk about the time when the gods appointed the first kings on earth, when what they call royalty had descended from heaven to earth, and the first kings were appointed by the gods. And these first priest kings suddenly had all these powerful weapons and tools. They built their huge temples from which they dispensed the law and smited people if they didn't obey them. And then it gets very interesting. Then it says that these kings started to issue clay tablets in the forms, issue clay tablets when people brought in their gold and silver. And they started to tell people, bring your gold, bring your silver, and we'll give you a piece of clay with some crappy Sumerian cuneiform writing on it.
Right.
And I went, oh my God, this is exactly what the money system is today. All about bills of exchange, promissory notes, and negotiable instruments. And some guy somewhere, some family controls and owns the right to do this. Anybody else tries to do it, they get killed or they get jailed or they get, whatever the
Mm.
consequences are. And I realized that this is exactly what's happened. And the Rothschilds have just perfected this ancient scam to enslave humanity. And here we are. So I now call it the true origins of money. I write about it in great detail. And it becomes very clear that money did not evolve over thousands of years as this tool that helps humanity. Absolutely not. People need to put that out of their mind completely. Money was introduced at a very specific moment in time in human history. It's difficult to pinpoint when that was, but we know it was a long time ago, and it arrived as a fully evolved, fully planned, premeditated tool of enslavement over the population of the world. It's a spectacular con and deception that takes some time to process when you really start thinking about this. And it's sorry, Richard, and then I'll let you let you carry on with
No,
some more
you carry
questions.
on.
Um, when I realized this was the case, I started to think, oh my goodness, so if we didn't have money, what would happen? What would happen? Let me imagine a world where money does not exist. I
Mm.
wake up tomorrow morning and there is no money. I can't go out and pay for anything. And I went through this exercise and it became an incredible journey of discovery. It literally took me by surprise day by day. And as the weeks went by, the vision and the image and the success of a world without money became more and more entrenched in my mind when I realized when we remove money from the system, things don't get worse, things don't fall apart. In fact, things get infinitely better and very, very quickly if we start doing things for the success of our communities, for the success of our people, when we start sharing inventions and technology and know-how, and we start sharing resources instead of locking them down behind walls and those who control them through money, when everything becomes available to all of us because we all contribute towards the great inventions, everything improves. Our lives improve, our food improves, our health improves, everything gets better. And that's what drove me to start the what has now become the One Small Town initiative, which in a nutshell is an integrated community development and upliftment program that brings prosperity and abundance to people of small towns to lead by example to all other small towns.
And when you say abundance, abundance to some people is they're stuck in and ingrained with, oh, that means money.
Yeah.
But I'm assuming, of course, that doesn't mean money.
No, it means everything except money.
Yes.
Again, let me make the statement. Money does nothing. Just think about this. You can take £1 billion and put it on the table on a warehouse, and everyone will sit and look at it. It's going to do nothing. Money
Mm.
does nothing. People do everything. We do everything. We plant the seeds. We grow the food. We develop the technology. We build the cars, the houses, and take care of the elderly and the sick and so forth. We people have capacity for infinite love and compassion and caring. Money does nothing. We
Yes.
do everything. And it's at that moment when you realize that money does nothing and people do everything, you realize that we don't need money, we need each other.
And so I had an interview which went out earlier today. So this is quite interesting in the juxtaposition of these two videos because this will go out next. And I was understanding through the chap I was talking that money, the notes themselves are permission slips because they give you permission to purchase something, because unless you've got this thing that's readily that everybody shares the idea that these things will buy things, that it becomes permission. But if you get rid of that permission, it's like, why are the bankers giving you permission when you yourself gives you the permission and you can barter or trade in different ways? So so I was going to get to the next bit. Once you take money out, how do you rearrange society that is so fixed on this way of doing things that you then say, well, hold on a minute, we still need people to do stuff that maybe they don't want to do or that needs to be done, that the community clearly will need, like cleaning toilets or the sort of jobs that most people won't do, that they have to be paid to, even though the wages that these people pay now are so pitifully low and yet they're vitally important. So, how do we structure a world where you take away money?
That's a very important question, and that's why it took 17 years. Well, probably about 14 years to evolve this idea into something that would be functioning and actually provide solutions on every level,
Mm.
including those who clean the toilets and so forth. So, I'd like to recommend to your viewers also go onto YouTube and just put my name in, put One Small Town, or put the Ubuntu movement in, because the Ubuntu movement that evolved into the One Small Town philosophy over many years. I've got some long lectures, 1.5 hours, 1 hour, 2 hour lectures on this philosophy. Go to our website, onesmalltown.org, watch all the videos that you can. This is a very simple process. Now, it's interesting how some people get it instantly. They just get it, boom, oh, got it, understand it. Other people take a little while to get it. And then there are those, which I must admit is not a large percentage, that just dig in their heels and say, well, this will never work, blah, 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 for this reason and that reason. So, I've dealt with thousands, possibly hundreds of thousands of questions since
Mm.
2007 when I've been talking about this, or 2005 actually. This idea of creating a world without money. But you can't just take money out of the system. That's not possible, because the entire global structure as we know it is based on money. So how do we go from here to there? And that's exactly what the One Small Town initiative is all about. Without shocking you or having to jump off some cliff into some uncharted waters, we
Yes.
gently stroll into the water and get deeper and deeper. And by the time you realize that your feet are no longer touching the ground, you're swimming and having a great time, right? And you are surrounded by abundance. So when I talk about creating abundance and prosperity for ourselves, our community, and our children and our future, that's the most important thing. Is that we talk about abundance of food, healthcare, technology, everything you can imagine. Because when we're not doing it for money, but we're doing it for ourselves, and we're doing it because we choose to do it, the mentality and everything changes. It changes completely. What has happened over the last decades since the Industrial Revolution pretty much, I guess we can say, destroyed the natural way of living, and the small communities. And especially the last 50 years has been dramatic, how small towns and communities have been decimated by the Industrial Revolution and urbanization and so forth. Um, Once we start working on collaborating and cooperating, everything becomes possible. If you think about the capitalist world, and I don't want to spend too much time on it here because I've got other lectures that go into detail. So I'd rather, give
Sure.
you some solutions that we have and how simple the One Small Town initiative is. Once we start cooperating, collaborating, everything becomes possible, because in capitalism, where competition, we constantly told, and competition is good, and without
Mm.
competition there'd be nothing, there'd be no progress. In fact, it is not true. It's completely the opposite. It's because of this capitalist competition that cures for disease are hidden, bought by large corporations. The inventors are paid out. They tell to shut up. They sign gag orders, and the cures for disease are shelved by the big pharma companies, so nobody can benefit from it. Because then, if you cure all disease, then the pharmaceutical companies will close down, and
Yes.
they don't want that. So, and the same for energy. If you put out free electricity devices, the big corporations that run the global electricity scam will close down. So this is what competition and money does. It does not help people. So if you're still in the mindset that competition is good and that capitalism is good, you've got to stop and just really think about human nature, and that human nature is not to be cruel, not to compete so that you push down somebody. Human nature is actually completely the opposite. True
Yes.
human nature is about creating, about sharing, about participating, and seeing the joy in our children's eyes, seeing the joy in our neighbors and our friends' eyes in our community, participating in the joy that we create collectively. And that's what the One Small Town initiative is all about. Just rewiring the way we think about life, to stop competing, try and working like a slave in the rat race to get to the top of the pile. And then when you get there, you go, okay, what now? Now you're watching all the other rats trying to get to you so they can knock you off your perch and become the king rat. That's not how we want to live. I want to live peacefully in a beautiful community of my choice, knowing that I have everything I need, that I don't have to worry about a roof over my head or a meal at the end of the day, or having the best medical care when I get sick, or participating in arts, culture, and recreation, or whatever I want. All of this should be available to all of us all the time. And once we choose to do this, it changes everything. So the one small town model is really taking people from a slave mentality where so many billions of people have literally just capitulated and given up, and we have become slaves. All of us have become slaves to the system. And the sad thing is that very few people know how to get out of it. In fact, very few movements out there have a solution. And I'd go as far as say the One Small Town initiative is the only initiative in the world right now that provides a solution to get us out of the slavery system, of the current socioeconomic capitalist system that has trapped every single one of us, and very few of us know how to get out. One Small Town presents a solution to get out without any violence, opposition, or conflict, and start working in our communities, in the small towns, to start planting the seeds of this abundance and prosperity across all the sectors of life.
So you paint an amazing picture there, which I think anybody watching will immediately go, that's desirable. I'd like some of that, thank you very much. If I don't have to work 9 to 5 and commute for 2 hours and then end up absolutely knackered and no time for the children, no time for leisure, I can see that people will go into that. You mention about the people who want to control everything because of profit, and we're always told that market forces will sort things out. Presumably those people who rely on this system that we're in at the moment won't be too happy if people remove money. And I know that one has to tread very carefully on a platform like YouTube, even talking about money, because all of this, completely wrongfully is controlled and censored, and they don't want you to think about these things because all the time you're on the hamster wheel, you're an obedient servant doing what they want, and you get your little come up, your little payment slip at the back of it. So how the question then I'm coming up to is, how do we how do you manage to build the One Small Town initiative without the controlling people in this world, the globalists who are determined to keep a stranglehold on everything, from causing a ruckus?
It's a really good and a very important question. So the answer to a few of those questions is that obviously this is not going to resonate with everybody to start off with, but it does resonate with a large majority of the global population. As you mentioned, people are automatically drawn to this because they're sick and tired and they've had enough. People all over the world are exhausted. They've got very little left. When they discover the One Small Town initiative, I know how excited people get. I get the emails. I have to go through all the emails every day, literally thousands of them. People just want to escape the slavery, the torture. They want to come and live in a small town and have a beautiful life where they contribute towards their community, where they know they're part of the community, they love, they cared, they respected and honored for who they are and what they do, instead of feeling insignificant, unwanted, and just abused by their boss or by the system or the corporation or whatever. The amazing thing about this, Richard, is that it's all about higher consciousness. It's all about moving from a lower state of consciousness to a higher state of consciousness. And it also, strangely enough, the One Small Town initiative is now probably the most exciting and lucrative investment opportunity for conscious millionaires and billionaires that are out there listening and watching to this. Anyone that has millions of dollars to invest will know what a treacherous environment that is. Where do you put your money? What do you do with your money? It is very risky wherever you go. Well, imagine if you can take your money and you say, well, I don't know what to do with $50 million. What am I going to do? Call me, email me. I will take you through the One Small Town initiative, and I'll show you what an infinitely powerful investment your money will make if you take a small town and you turn it around into this place of manufacturing, growing infinite number of different foods, processing the food, medicinal plants, health, true health pharmaceuticals that we grow from our own hospitals, our own new building materials, etc. Anything you can imagine, we create. And you, as an investor, can be the cornerstone investor in all these different businesses. Not only do you create a beautiful small town for yourself that has got the best security, the safest place to live, with happy, shining, smiling people everywhere, because suddenly all these businesses that we started with your funding are owned and co-owned by the people of our town. And that's how the One Small Town model works, by the way. We're going to come back to that. And I, as the investor, has triggered this incredible explosion of productivity, of creation, of invention, of technology, of growing, producing, processing, and distribution to the world at an incredible profit. That is a seriously good investment in my eyes. And the good thing about this is that there are more millionaires in the world than there are small towns. So I'm anticipating and predicting that when the penny drops and the first conscious millionaire does this, it's going to create a stampede of other millionaires for other small towns to do the same. And that's going to be the moment where this whole thing just explodes. So I think we need to get back to what One Small Town really is, and what are these people investing in, and what do we, as the people of the small town community, what do we do to get this started?
So I was going to say, I mean, in the UK, of course, we have smallish towns, we have villages, and a lot of these towns and villages will have a lot of corporations, which are obviously for-profit businesses, and so when you say we go and live in a small town, are you saying that we have to create somewhere, like buying a piece of land, and no, not saying that, that we change the nature of the towns that we're already in?
Yes, right. That's why it's called One Small Town, not One Small City. First of all, the idea of One Small Town came because you can't do this in a big city. It's just too big, too many people, too much stress, too much drama. But when you go to a small town of 2,000, 5,000, even 10,000 or 50,000 people, it's a very different environment. Everybody knows everybody. If you want to have a town meeting, you can call, put the word out, and at least 10 or 20, sometimes 50% of the population will come to the meeting. Depends on the size of the town, or if it's a village. And you share the idea with the people. Say, this is what we're going to do. We're going to start as many businesses as we can, and we're going to own these businesses. They're going to be our businesses. And the way we make them run is that each of us has to contribute 3 hours a week towards the working in these businesses. And that's fundamentally, now I've really pushed the button of the fundamental crux of how the One Small Town model works.
Just 3 hours a week.
3 hours a week. Let me take you through the numbers and the incredible abundance that this creates.
Right.
This is what gets people excited.
Yes.
Richard, this is what gets everybody
I'm excited now. I'm excited because, 3 hours a week. I mean, most people are working 10, 12 hours a day.
Yes. So what this means is that starting One Small Town in your community is a decision that we make together as the people of the town. Say, wow, I can afford 3 hours a week. Okay, let's start this thing. Let's write some business plans for the businesses we want. We work as a One Small Town head office. We work with the small towns and the ambassadors that we appoint there. And we then help raise the funds for those businesses. But because we start the businesses ourselves, we're the majority shareholders of these businesses. And when we open up our businesses to the outside investors, the investor can only ever own 30% of that business. That's it. The rest of the 60% belongs to the community and the members that contribute to working in those businesses. Just 3 hours a week. Now, if you do some numbers, the penny starts to drop. Let's use the number 10,000 because it's an easy number to work with. So if we have a town of 10,000 people and everyone contributes 3 hours a week voluntarily, we're sitting with 30,000 hours of free labor every week It's 120,000 hours of free labor a month. Do you know how much corporations would pay for that amount of labor?
I have no idea.
Well, just
Yeah,
do the
a
numbers.
lot.
Do the
Yeah.
numbers. A lot. They can't afford it. The bottom line is that most corporations can't afford that amount of labor. Well, guess what? We can. What that immediately does, it puts us into competition. We can compete as a labor force with any large multinational corporation because we choose to, and we
Yes.
can. And that changes everything. So
And
anything
that's
we
where
want,
that's the moment the penny has just dropped
yes.
in my head. That is the moment where you suddenly realize, yes.
Working
If you
together, stop
Yes.
competing. If we cooperate and we collaborate, we turn ourselves into the most powerful labor force no money can buy, no
Yes.
company. Now,
Yes.
when you do the numbers, and this is where the people with numbers that want to see numbers and all that, this is really important. Go and do this for yourself. So you don't just take my word for it.
Mm.
Any international corporation that has 4,000 or more employees does a minimum annual turnover of $1 billion per annum. Okay, let that penny drop. We, as a community of 10,000 people, can contribute 30,000 hours of labor a week into our businesses. We can start to compete with any one of these multinational corporations that turn over $1 billion or more. So, in a small town, that is our goal. That's our objective. What businesses can we start? Starting with food, obviously, with food security, future food security, water, energy, electricity, technology, healthcare, housing, and so forth. Schooling, education, arts, culture, recreation, all of those things. And for each one of those sectors, we in the One Small Town have developed some very exciting approaches on how to start this, how to start the One Small Town Art Gallery, for example, that has revolutionized the sales of art and how artists sell their art to a global audience and keep receiving royalties on every time the art is resold instead of just selling it once. So we've introduced a completely new and fresh approach to pretty much everything that we touch within the One Small Town community. And it is just so exciting and inspiring and makes you wake up with a smile on your face every day. And the best part about this is that any member of the small town community, it doesn't matter what job you have, everyone has got 3 hours, right?
Mm.
So we can start this instantly. You don't have to give up your job to start this, but as long as we start it, we can do this and manage it. But I'm just going to drop this penny for you so we can move on to your question. To manage this and control this was historically a huge nightmare and a headache. And in the last 12 months, we have solved that problem by launching our One Small Town IT platform and blockchain that now manages and controls all this very complex integrated stuff that normally would be an absolute nightmare. And now it's not only managed and controlled, but it also comes with our own community asset-backed token called the Infinity token that we are rewarding ourselves with because we're creating the token through our 3 hours of contribution. So every time I go and contribute 3 hours towards one of my businesses, I automatically get one Infinity token deposited into my digital wallet, which I can then do whatever I want with. I can trade it on our platform. I can send it free of charge to any other member from my digital wallet to your digital wallet. So in essence, we've not only solved the problem of how to get out of the economic slavery and create small towns of prosperity and abundance, but we also have, as we're talking, it exists, it's real, a solution to a potential collapse of the global financial markets. It is there, it's available. Anyone can join, anyone can sign up and start using the Infinity tokens.
So one of the things that comes to my mind is if you're offering 3 hours a week, presumably you could offer more if you so wished. If you start a business, there will be certain skills that people would obviously need in order to have a successful business, and that simple skills might be just knowing what to order in, and yes, labeling and promotion, art, and lots of business skills that perhaps only a certain number of people can do. How do you get around that? I mean, I appreciate you've got a lot more people, but holding a concept in your idea might be a small team rather than lots of random people coming and going, "Oh, I'd like to have a go at doing the posters this week," and then the whole branding just changes overnight.
Yeah, very important question, and thank you for bringing it up. Keep in mind that we're starting businesses. We're not a bunch of hippies living in a hippie colony just growing some food and hoping we're going to get by. No,
Sure.
this is run on a very, very strict and strictly managed business principles. So one of our slogans is that we use the tools of enslavement as tools of liberation, and that includes money, corporate structure, management, project management, everything that makes corporations successful. We implement that in our One Small Town model. So every business plan that we choose to implement, right? We'll get together. We appoint our people's council that represents us. So, and we'll get together and we have brainstorming sessions. What kind of businesses can we start? We can start what we call grassroots businesses that need very little money, if any, to start them and start creating profit as quickly as possible, to small business, small investment, to medium to very large investments, like if you want to start a brewery or a cement factory or God knows what, so from, and each one of those has a business plan attached to it. That business plan gets put onto the One Small Town platform, into the business plan section, connected to a project management system, connect to a financial system, connected to a distribution of fund system. The money is raised and a drawdown based on the business plan and the project management gets distributed to that management team that has been appointed to run that business. So part of the business that we're starting is a business plan and a management team that is going to run that business. And because we as the people want that business to make as much money as possible for us, the majority shareholders, we want to appoint the best experts to run that business. So we might import that person from Germany if we want the best baker in the world, or you know what I mean, an engineer from Japan, and so that's part of the business plan that we get funding, we fund, and that then slowly evolves. So in any business in a One Small Town situation, only the top management needs to be paid, right? The rest of the people, the accounting, the PR, the IT, the driving, the delivering, the security, the janitors, everything else is done by us, the people, which means we save ourselves between 50 and 80% of the cost of running that business. That's the true benefit to the investors into a One Small Town business. Because as an investor into a business, One Small Town business, I'm going into a partnership with an entire community. And they're going to be doing the work, which saves me all the labor costs and gives me higher profits. And not only that, because I'm now in partnership with an entire community, no other business of that kind can ever come in and undermine our business.
Yes.
It's impossible. So slowly but surely, as we launch more and more businesses, we will push out the big multinational corporates and replace them with our own businesses, which includes retail and everything else.
Yes, so it's kind of the reversal of what's happened with very large corporations, the chain stores, for example, and I won't name them, but in the past we had independent businesses and little grocers, and then a bigger grocer would come in with their buying power, build a new place next door, all shiny and gleaming, and people naturally gravitated to that because they thought it was good, and the independent business couldn't compete and, of course, disappeared. And what you're saying is, which sounds really exciting, is that these larger corporations who've dominated and taken the biggest share and in some sense has destroyed many of the communities that they've been in will be undercut by people working effectively for nothing, but actually they're working for themselves, as you describe,
Yes.
And being more rewarded as a result of that. And so these other leeching businesses, if I can call them that, where the money doesn't even stay in the locality anyway, will slowly wither and die, basically.
Yeah, it's really important for people for that penny to drop for people, is that what we're doing is we're doing this for ourselves. Now,
Yes.
some of the businesses we can start ourselves with no funders necessary. So 90% of the profits and the income from that comes back to us, the people of the community. The 10% is retained for the local One Small Town office to pay the costs of the One Small Town office and the people that manage it and run it. and manage the IT and the platform and all that, and 4% is kicked up to the head office because the head office has got no way of making money. The head office survives based on the success of the small towns. So it's a very simple organic structure, and everyone knows what's going on. It's a completely transparent structure. The blockchain and our IT platform allows any member of a small town and any investor in one of those businesses to go online at any time and see, how's my money being spent? How much profit did this business make? How much profit did that business make? And so forth, within your small town. As long as you're a member, you've got access to all that information. And we need to talk about the benefits. We haven't spoken about the benefits yet to the members of the community. And that's the most exciting part here.
Right.
That's when you really start seeing how a little bit of contribution, a little bit of effort from me, and if we all do it collectively, how much abundance that creates. So it's called an integrated community development plan. So if we're going to build a bakery to bake bread, we're going to need flour and wheat and this and whatever. So then we're going to find some land and we're going to grow the flour and the wheat and everything we need for the bakery. But at the same time, we're going to grow 10 times or 100 times more. So we not only supply our bakery with the flour we need, but also we sell the wheat on the open market, and that brings us profit. Plus the bread that we sell also brings us profit. So now we not just double dipping, we probably triple dipping and multiple dipping in many different things. So whatever we do, we'll always supply the ingredients or the components for something else that we do within our community. So we basically supply it to ourselves for free because we will grow that for free for the bakery. So no other bakery could ever compete with us because we are supplying our own wheat flour for free.
Yes.
Right?
But there would be nothing to stop. So if you have a town, a small town, 10,000 people, you might say, well, actually, one bakery isn't going to be enough. There might be 4 or 5 bakeries at different, at convenient places so people can walk to them. They don't have to go very far to get their bread, fresh bread. If people have the opportunity to have that bread fresh in the morning and it's only a short walk. So presumably you're not in competition with your own businesses. That you're going, well, he's cheaper than he is.
We're doing it for us. So
yes.
And then obviously the intention is to bake as much bread as we can, so we can start supplying the hotels and the retailers and send freeze and send it to bloody Dubai or wherever. The world is your oyster. What can we do in our bakery? How many biscuits can we package? New biscuits that are absolutely healthy, no GMO. Everything we do in One Small Town has got absolute purity. You know that when you buy something that's got a One Small Town sticker on it, it's made with love. The money goes straight back to the people of that community. And it's 100% healthy and free of any kind of toxin. This is very important for everyone to understand. So the One Small Town brand, and it's starting already in some of the small towns that is just finally now starting to produce these products. It's taken a long time because it's not easy to get this off the ground. Theory is easy. When you start doing it, you realize it's a hard process, and we're learning and getting stronger every day. But as we start to produce, whether it's food or water or anything else, it is always organic, healthy, and good for you. And I believe that One Small Town logo and brand will carry that across the world when people start seeing those logos on the produce in the stores.
So if you're starting up a business anywhere, there will be a whole host of legal things and hoops you've got to jump through, not least then there's all the tax collecting and all of that side of things. What sort of process have you got to either, I suppose, stay in line with it initially, because ultimately, as this movement goes in, I don't know what, 10 years' time, if we're looking back, so many of these other systems will have just died away and we're no longer there. But so if I was setting up a baker, let's use that as an example, in my front room downstairs, and I said, I'm now a baker, I know that I would have to jump through certain hoops for the legality of all of that in the old system that we're in. Is there...
So nothing changes. We have to We
You
have
still have
to
to
follow the
comply.
law. Yeah, so we're
Yes.
not breaking any laws. We're paying our taxes. We're doing everything by the book because we don't want to confront the system. We're not
Right.
fighting the system. We're not opposing the system because if you do that, you're going to lose because
Yes.
they've got all the power. So this is
Yes.
really important. So we're not creating something that flies in the face of that. No, we're using the tools of enslavement as tools of liberation. And so we'll get the best accountants to do the tax for us. Look at the wealthiest people in the world, but don't pay any bloody tax. Why? Because they got really smart accountants. Well, we're going to find those accountants and we're going to bring them to do the tax for us. So we also don't pay any tax. There are ways and means that we can do this. We have to work smart and stop working hard because working hard does not mean you're going to get success. And that's what so many people have learned these days that, I've worked hard all my life. Look what I've got, nothing. And that's
Yes.
what we change with One Small Town. We are cooperating, we're collaborating for the greater good and greater benefit of every single one of us. Because the ancient slogan in Africa and in the Native American tribes was that if it's not good for everyone, it ain't good at all. It's no good at all. So it's very important because
Mm.
unless everybody is happy and feels loved, respected, honored for who they are and what they contribute towards their community, you're going to have unhappy people that cause trouble. And One Small Town provides that platform where everybody can contribute whatever skills they have. We will need people with individual skills that they're not able to express in the capitalist world because they can't find a job with the skills that they have. So they have to do some other shitty job that they hate. And that's what causes, most of the global depression because people can't express their gifts and talents with which they're born and help their community, benefit their community, and help themselves because it makes you feel better if you can do what you love to do and what you're good at, and you know that it's helping your community at the same time. That's a recipe for success. And
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah. No. So initially, people are still working and they're doing this in their part time, but as this builds up, of course, and we're all part of the same community. They won't need to do these other jobs because they're only doing 3 hours a week for one thing, and they may well be. Once you give up work, you may find that actually you're enjoying what you're doing so much that you contribute to many different things. So you've got variety in your life, so that one day you might be out there planting seeds or harvesting or something, and another day, because you've got these other skills, you might be doing the accounts or just serving people in your shop or whatever it is. Because if
yeah.
you give people too much leisure time, they don't know what to do with it.
Look, what you'll find is that anyone in our town, once you become a member, and I just want to say this to your viewers now,
Yeah.
you can go online right now, go to onesmalltown.org and click become a member. You can sign up right now, become a member. You can buy a few tokens. We've got a whole new press release coming out probably in the next 2 weeks about our tokens and what's going to be happening. We're going to be issuing many more tokens for all the, especially the seed bank token for future food security, technology tokens, our art token, and so forth. So all the different industries and sectors that we're developing very unique solutions. We're issuing tokens for people to be able to invest in. But I'll come back to that. So you can go online right now, become a member, and that opens your account, and you have your digital wallet there immediately. So once you have a few tokens in your digital wallet, you can send those tokens to anyone, anywhere in the world, free of charge. No one in private, no one knows what you're doing. It's up to you. It's a closed loop membership token that is an asset-backed token by us and our members. And the only way you can earn those tokens is if you contribute 3 hours towards your community, towards your businesses, and or uplifting your towns, fixing the potholes, cleaning the parks, cleaning the toilets, the public toilets. We all do this together. The things that the municipalities should be doing, but they seem to have less and less money because people are stealing the money and our towns are falling apart at a rate unimaginable. So we do all this for ourselves.
So okay, so let's say that there are a bunch of people in a town, and of course, getting this message across to everybody in the town is a challenge in itself. Getting them to agree to anything is a challenge in itself. But let's say that a small number of 50 people manage in a big town just to start the initiative. What are the first steps that they should do?
Well, first of all, you come on our platform, you sign up as a member, and then you sign up either as an ambassador, so we can appoint you as an ambassador. You go through an interview process, so we make sure that you're a stand-up individual, and that you really have the interest of your community, and that you're a go-getter, someone that's going to actually get things done, and not just talk about it. And
Yes.
then we sit and have a creative think tank. This is exciting. What can we do? What businesses can we start that require very little money that we can start immediately? What businesses plans can we put together that require, maybe £100,000 or whatever, that we can put a business plan together? And what other businesses do we have ideas that we can start that we think will be very good here? Like maybe we've got very good water, so we can start a brewery or a distillery or who knows what. So come up with businesses and business ideas, and then we go and write the business plans. But while we're doing that, we then also start working on uplifting our town, whether it's picking up rubbish, small town t-shirts
We just got a
once a
little break.
day, and start going out and doing things for our community, doing so people see us and recognize these are the guys from one small town. Look what a wonderful job they're doing. In underprivileged countries, or in countries where there's high poverty and unemployment, South Africa is a great example, because we got the extremely rich and we got the extremely poor. So in the small towns especially, there are a lot of people. There's 60%, 70% unemployment in some of the towns. It's horrific. So people have nothing to do. So it gives them a chance to do something every day for 3 hours and feel good about themselves and feel that they suddenly are doing something towards their future. And in return, they're not just doing it for free. Every time they work for 3 hours every day, they get one infinity token in their digital wallet. Plus, and this is the big thing, especially in impoverished communities where people have no food and so forth, we start a community kitchen. So we've also got a whole plan that we discuss with our ambassadors and our members, how to start the community kitchen. Where do we get the food from? We've got a way to approach the farmers and to encourage the wealthy members of that community to come and donate food. And when they donate X amount of food, they get one infinity token in return for donating their food to the community kitchen. So we know how to get the food. Then we find our members from the community to come and cook the food for an afternoon, for a lunchtime session and a 5 o'clock session. And then we have a morning community activity and an afternoon community activity, 3 hours. And when people come and sign up for whatever it is, whatever thing we do, it could be working in a business, or it could be uplifting, fixing the town. At the end of their 3 hours, they get the infinity token, and then they go to our community kitchen and have a lovely plate of food. And in poor communities, that could be the difference between them going to bed hungry,
Yes.
and miserable, as opposed to knowing that they've done something. They've got an infinity token that 3 years from now could be worth a few $1,000s, and in fact it will be, once you realize how quickly the value of the token is going to grow as this thing expands. And they get a plate of food. So this is a huge thing. So the community kitchen in most of the small towns that we're working with right now, there's one in Lebanon, there's one in South Africa, we just starting our first one in the USA, and there are various others. We've got many more in South Africa that have already started. They haven't become active yet because it takes a while to organize things. It takes a while. Yes. And we're also learning what are the easy things to start? What can we start immediately? And what's fascinating is one of my pet projects, and it brings tears to my eyes every time I think about this, is working with primary school children in what I call the seedling nursery program, where children after school come, they pick up rubbish with their plastic bags under supervision, and so it becomes a community service, and they pick up plastic bottles and milk cartons, they take it to an area that is our nursery, our seedling nursery, where we've got an expert making compost, and there they bring, and other kids that are older that won't cut their arms off, they cut these plastic things in half and turn them into seed containers, right? Then we punch holes in the bottom, and then we have an art teacher that teaches the kids how to paint the containers, and they write their name on it. Then they make the compost, they put the compost in there, and they bring seeds with them from home. Whatever they ate in the last day or so, they collect all the seeds, they bring the seeds. We teach them how to treat the seeds. They plant the seeds, they write their name in the container. And then we have our master plant grower and tree grower that deals with that. And we turn this into a huge nursery. When you see how much money this makes for the school and for that community, it makes your head spin, right? Imagine 300 children every day that come for this, after school, and each one brings 10 seeds. So then you're planting 3,000 trees a day.
Wow. Yes.
Just as a little picking up rubbish program. If each one of those trees makes you a 10-pound profit at the end of that, after a while. So it starts, in the first 12 months. But you also grow, things that grow quicker. But within a year, you'll have a nursery with a few 100,000 trees in it. So you need a large area, but suddenly those trees are sold to the nurseries and to people. And because it carries the One Small Town logo and the pulling the heartstrings of people realizing this money goes straight back to the community, not to some charity where they steal all the money, goes straight back into the pockets of the people. Just think about this, Richard. If we can sell 100,000 trees a month, which I know we can from a small nursery. If you think about all the wholesale nurseries and how we can supply them very comfortably and make 10 pounds, which is nothing, profit per tree. That's £1 million profit a month for a small community, just from this tiny little project.
Yes.
Just let that penny drop. It's so exciting. This is unquestionably my pet project that we are now trying to implement with every small town that we launch. Which means, for people. So if we've got 1,000 members that are participating in our town, and we make £1 million profit for that community, that's £1,000 a month for each member. Because remember, all the profits from all the businesses collectively get pooled and shared equally among all the members. Just because you worked in the bakery or you worked in the dairy or you plowed the lands or you milked a cow or you picked up rubbish, doesn't matter. As long as you contributed your 3 hours, you get the same amount, equal amount from all the profits that are distributed through the blockchain to all our members. And that's why we call it the leveling of the playing field. Just because you're a surgeon or you work for 3 hours in the hospital doesn't mean you get more. No. If you're a surgeon working in a One Small Town hospital, you get the same as a guy picking up rubbish in the street or cleaning your toilets. Because if your toilets don't get cleaned, you can't do surgery.
Yes, absolutely. So just go back to the example of the bakery for the moment. So let's say, again, I've set up this bakery. I've got this bakery and I've got people who are coming in to give me 3 hours a week to help me. And it's all going. Because I'm not paying the labor costs, the bread I'm selling is, I'm still paying whatever the costs of the materials, of course, but I'm not paying the labor costs, which means I can sell the bread much cheaper than my neighbors. And so therefore more people and go, hang on a minute, this is good quality. It's as good as this bloke down the road, but it's incredibly cheaper. And so naturally, people who are hard up and, cost of living, blah, 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 will start to gravitate to these businesses. Next door, there's a butcher. He hasn't got the labor. And if it's come from a farm, who also hasn't got the labor. I can see how once you start these businesses and they progress, suddenly, and then the profit is shared out, as you say, completely equally with all these people. The incentive to be part of it is massive.
It is a massive. And so when people say buy local, this is much bigger than just buy local. This is we build local, create local, grow local, invent local, distribute local, make profits local, bring the profits in and share them locally. So we're not just buying local, we're growing local, we're exporting, making as much profit as we possibly can with our labor, and then sharing that profit amongst all of us. So the benefits to our members is the 60% or up to 90% of the net profit share among our members equally, as long as you contribute your minimum 3 hours a week. That's all you need to do. And so you get the profit distributed. You also get your infinity token in your wallet for every 3 hours. But for people that can work 3 hours a day, where there's a lot of unemployment, then you can end up with 30 or 31 tokens a month. Now, if that token goes from where it is today, from $1.89, it started at $1. Then when we launched our algorithm, it jumped to 189. We're about to recalibrate the algorithm. We expect it's going to jump to more than $2.50 the next time we calibrate the algorithm, because of everything that's happened behind the scenes since then. What happens when your token suddenly jumps to $10, $20 or $100, right? So I'll explain to you why it can jump to that level very, very quickly. Suddenly you've got 1,000 tokens in your wallet times £100 or $100. Oh my God! Suddenly you got $100,000 worth of tokens in your digital wallet. It changes everything,
Yes.
right? And we've created this token for ourselves. It cannot be crashed because it's not traded on open trading platforms. It's our private One Small Town trading platform. You have to be a member to come and buy or sell your tokens. You can't sell it for less than 90% of its value. So you can sell your tokens quicker and share them with those that want to buy tokens. You can't crash the tokens. You can't lose your tokens like you can lose your cryptocurrency on a flash drive. You can't. And every token is an NFT. So that's the other thing. It's not just a token; it's actually an NFT.
What does NFT mean?
Non-fungible token. So it can't get erased or lost or fudged. Right. Funged, yeah, whatever. I'm sure that the crypto experts are going to scream at my description, but that's all we need to know. You can't lose it, and it cannot be stolen. There's a trace to, if you send your tokens to somebody and you're supposed to pay me for it, and you haven't paid me for it, then that can be traced and sorted out. So it's controlled by the people. It belongs to the community, right? So totally transparent. So the benefits, I keep digressing. So the benefits are the net profit distribution of all our businesses, and just that one little seedling program could make a community of 1,000 members £1,000 per month in their bank account. That's just the one benefit. Yes. Then your tokens is your next benefit. And then once we become productive, once we start to grow the food and the bread and the milk and the meat and whatever, the beer and whatever, the fridges, the nail clippers, the laptops, whatever we decide to manufacture in our town, right? Anything is possible. Remember, the people that work for the large corporations probably came from a small town somewhere, right? Yes. At some stage. Yes. So now we're going to get those smart people to stay in the small towns and set up these ridiculously incredible, innovative businesses. So every month, at the end of the month, we grow as much food as we can, but we keep a portion for our community so we can distribute enough corn flour to all our members every month, enough bread to all our members, enough milk to all our members. So we're doing it for ourselves. So whether it's milk, bread, flour, laptops, whatever, we're building them for ourselves, but then we try and make, 10 times or 100 times or 1,000 times more than we need in our community. And it's that 100 times more that gets sold on the open market, and those profits get brought back. So you get, at the end of the month, you go to the One Small Town Superstore, which we'll have to put up very soon, because if we're growing and building and manufacturing so much stuff, where do we put it? We have to put it somewhere.
Exactly.
And now already you start seeing how quickly we can become a competitor to these horrible, greedy, marts that have infiltrated our communities and destroyed the mom and pop stores and destroyed our social structure of community. Suddenly, all the things in our One Small Town Superstore are made by us. It's created, invented, grown, built, processed by us. And so you go to the One Small Town store. By the way, everyone is welcome to come and buy there and shop there, but they pay with fiat currency. They pay with pounds or dollars or whatever. And that's how we make cash for our community, right? So so at the end of the month, every one of our members goes to the One Small Town store. You put in your membership card and it prints out a ticket for you and say, this month in your basket of goods, you get a bicycle, a nail clipper, you get, milk, bread, cheese, corn, whatever it is. And then you go and you get the stuff and you go to the checkout counter, they scan it, say, thank you. That's what your basket of goods is. Like every other member gets the same basket of goods because that's what we worked for. And that's our distribution to ourselves. So, and that you basically are sacrificing one token to get that. Although this is not an algorithm. This is not an algorithm because that could create confusion. That means that we are going into securities and fiat currency and all that. So it's not in the algorithm of calculating the value of the token. but people will know in their minds. If for one token at the end of the month, I'm going to get a laptop and a bicycle and a fridge, and what's the value of the token?
Well, yes,
Exactly.
hard to pin it down.
Yes. And it's just going to go up and up. The more we manufacture, the more we grow, the more we produce, the value of the token goes up and up and up. But the true value of the token is just actually the algorithm is in the number of members that sign up, number of small towns, the number of members, and the number of 3 hours that they contribute towards
Yes,
for free towards their community, because that 3 hour has a value. And so every time the blockchain obviously will keep, every time our members around the world have contributed 3 hours, they scan their QR code when they clock out from whatever it is they were doing. They might have been grooming horses, at the horse breeding farm or whatever. People will be attracted to whatever they love to do. And when you
yes,
fill in your membership form, you fill in, I love horses, and or I'm an expert horse breeder or whatever. So the blockchain will automatically allocate you to go and work with a horse breeding or whatever we have in our community, if that exists, right?
yes.
So at the end, so you scan your QR code, and it automatically deposits an infinity token into your digital wallet. So it's all automated. And if it doesn't happen, it can be fixed because of the blockchain. You can trace and follow, and on our IT platform, which is just incredibly powerful and just gets stronger every day. And where was I going with this? So at the end of the day, you get your token and goes into your digital wallet. And now I lost my train of thought completely.
So, no, and it all sounds incredible. The people who've worked in the shop, if they have now moved away from fiat currency, can they purchase using the tokens themselves?
Not yet. So we have not created that yet. So the only thing, and because that becomes a very dangerous situation, because then somebody has to pay for manufacturing and creating something to put it in the shop, and then you come and buy it with tokens. So that means that they have to have value and use for those tokens somehow. But
Right,
because that one small town store belongs to the one small town community, that one token that you come and sacrifice is just proof that you received your basket of goods. But everybody
right.
will know that's proof, but it also means that basket of goods, you've just paid one token for that. So,
Yeah.
aha, wow, okay. So, yeah, that's so the three areas of that people benefit is you get your tokens, they're going to get more and more valuable. You get your basket of goods, your food and whatever, and you get your dividends distributed from the profits of all our businesses. And that's in a nutshell the one small town. And it's just getting stronger and bigger and better every day. I must say it's not easy. In theory, for 17 years, it was really beautiful to talk about it. And then the moment you start doing it, like literally a year ago, the shock came when the first two towns suddenly signed up. But okay, well, how the hell do we manage this? How do we manage this thing? It's impossible to manage it. And then out of the blue, divine providence provided just the right people in Johannesburg that are some of the best coders and programmers in the world that said, wow, we love what you're doing. We want to help you with this. And here we are. A year later, we've created the infinity token that is just growing and growing and growing. People are starting to realize the potential value and where it's going to go.
And how is it received as a concept and an idea in the West, in the where I am, where fiat currency dominates absolutely everything? We're governed by corporations. They're not even administrations anymore. They are for-profit businesses. We are so locked into this one way of thinking, and of course our towns have expanded and are expanding to huge numbers by all the new builds that they're putting up at the edges of towns. So how is the idea being taken, and the potential to do something in these Western conurbations that we have?
Well, that's where we have the biggest uptake is
it?
in the USA. Our biggest support base is in the USA and the UK.
Oh, right. Oh, brilliant.
Yeah.
That's
Australia,
fantastic. That's
Australia,
fantastic.
UK, USA, South Africa. South Africa is sort of first world, third world combination. Um, a lot of the English speaking countries, Italy, Croatia, um, Germany, France. I always forget France because it's a foreign language, and I forget our French ambassadors are probably the best ambassadors, and our French team are just absolutely brilliant. Um, and I forget where else we are now. It's just growing. It's just growing exponentially. We've actually had to put a hold on it because our IT platform is not quite ready. It's pretty much there, but
Mm.
when this thing goes, it's going to grow exponentially, and we need to be ready for it because we can't have loose
Yes.
ends and little gremlins in there when this thing starts to explode.
No, I can see that once, like a snowball getting larger and larger, as it rolls down that hill, it's going to, as you say, it's going to grow, and people are going to, once they've got the concept and that penny drops, I can absolutely see that
Yeah.
people will be rushing to be part of it because it's freedom.
Yeah, we have a very exciting ambassador in Wales. The Zig, they're about to start some exciting farm agricultural projects and a bakery and a few other things. Ireland is we got great ambassadors there. It's just sometimes it takes a while, but between the ambassadors signing up and the thing getting off the ground, and
Yes.
it just and that's where we're discovering the transition from the idea to the hands-on projects and businesses. But that's coming to an end as well, because as some of the small towns show success, like Lebanon is by far the leading example. They're just flying ahead. We've got our One Small Town art gallery open up, and please let me just tell you about the art gallery
Mm.
before we finish here. That's one of my pet projects. Art sculpture. Yeah, I'm an artist myself, so Lebanon is showing us they got the art gallery. They started growing oregano for oregano oil, which is a huge profit-making crop. They're about to plant several hundred acres of medicinal plants and putting bees and beehives there for medicinal honey and all the other propolis and all the down the line value chain products from it, whether it's shampoos and soaps and everything. They've got primary water, sacred water that they're going to start bottling and exporting around the world. So
Wow.
they're just flying. I mean, they and the biggest one is our health and wellness center. It's a 5-story building where 40 of the top doctors in Lebanon have committed their 30% of their time to come and work there in this health and wellness center of all kinds of healing things that you can't imagine. I
Mm.
mean, just as a health tourism industry, that business plan, which we've just finished and we're busy loading it onto the platform right now. So it'll be essentially leading by example, the first really complex business plan on the One Small Town business model platform. It's a nightmare, but that itself generates $7 to $8 million profit within the first year. That's how insane that business is. So we are now already taking that business plan and adapting it for the UK, for London, to set
Good
up
gracious.
a health and wellness center with slight modifications for the London environment. But now that we have the business plan, we can take that and adapt it to any country, any city, anywhere, and just adapt it to the needs of that particular community. So it's all about the business plans. As we get more and more business plans, the stronger this foundation gets, and the more business investment opportunities we can open up to conscious millionaires around the world. And I truly believe that a year from now, we're going to be having a very different conversation, very positively different conversation.
Yeah, I'm absolutely sure we will. It's an amazing concept and idea. I'm surprised it's taken me so long to come to find out about it, but I'm very thrilled to have done that, and I know my viewers also will be very excited. The website is onesmalltown.org.
Org. Yeah.
That's what I
And,
figured.
and
Yeah.
I must just also say, Richard, that one of our main ambassadors and one of our senior members of One Small Town is in the UK, Julia Buttery. She is absolutely spectacular. She comes from a long background in high international corporate in a petrochemical business. So she's very high level corporate. So we've got very good stability and injection of that kind of thinking. So, if people think this is a bunch of hippies trying to grow some food on a piece of land, no,
Yes.
that's
No.
not what we're doing. In fact, we're doing completely the opposite. And you mentioned earlier, are we taking a piece of land and starting from scratch? No. Why should we want to do that? We have towns, they have everything, they have
Yes.
infrastructure, they have everything. We just need to change the way that people think and realize that the moment they unite, cooperate, and collaborate, they can move mountains, they can achieve anything they set their mind to.
And that is a brilliant place to end on. And I absolutely get what you're saying there. We've got the infrastructure. It's already been put in, paid for by fiat currency. Why not take advantage of it with our free labour and the rewards we get for it? Michael, thank you so much for talking to me and explaining it. I will go on YouTube and find one of your lectures to link to, as well as the website, so people can find out more. I'm sure they'll be absolutely hungry for it. We are in such a perilous state at the moment, under pressure from so many things, that people are desperate for ideas and hope. And I think the one thing that you've given, even if people are a bit nervous at this stage, you've given them hope that there are people out there dreaming up amazing futures for everybody. So I really, really appreciate that, and also the valuable time that you've given to the show. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Richard. Great talking to you. And just a reminder to your viewers, you have nothing to lose. We're not asking you for money. We're not asking you for anything. We're just asking you to sign up as a member, tell everybody around it. And if you live in a small town and you believe you can drive this, if you're a driven individual with some influence in your community, you can turn this thing around in no time. So sign up, email Julia in the UK, especially this is for your UK members. You'll find an email address, or it's actually uk@onesmalltown.org. Very easy.
All right.
And talk to us, join us. We are the ones we've been waiting for.
Fantastic. Michael, thank you so much. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. How about that? As promised, Michael Tellinger from One Small Town. I really appreciate it. Do go and check out the website, sign up, and you've got nothing to lose. So there we are. I'll be back with more interviews and monologues and what have you. But in the meantime, from Michael and I very much appreciate the conversation. Until next time, goodbye.